ASUS ProArt Display PA27JCV. The ProArt PA27JCV rocks 5120 by 2880 pixel clarity that'll make your code sharp enough to hurt your eyes, plus an anti-glare coat and color accuracy. So good, your boss will think you hired a rainbow to QA the UI. But let's be real, 60 Hz refresh, some dodgy brightness uniformity, and a price tag that's aiming for the stars mean this is a fancy choice for folks who use the phrase color science unironically. It's ergonomic, incredibly adjustable, and ready for your multi-device madness. But if you want high refresh rates, your pixels will be sitting down for this one. 7 out of 10. Acer Nitro XV275K P3 BII. The Nitro XV275K P3 explodes onto your desk with 4000 pixel sharpness, a refresh rate that zips up to 160 Hz, and brightness that could probably double as a grow lamp for indoor tomatoes. Text is crisp, colors pop louder than a code review meltdown, and you get enough connectivity, including USB-C charging, to power a spaceship. But beware. Local dimming quirks and some visual gremlins could ambush you just when you think you've finally fixed that bug. If you can handle occasional artifacts and are ready for a display that's more dramatic than your Jira backlog, this one's a solid bet. 8 out of 10. INNOCN 27MT. The INNOCN 27M2V is that underdog monitor you didn't expect with 160 Hz refresh for ultra-smooth workflow, dazzling high dynamic range brightness, and a color gamut so wide even your Python scripts get jealous. The plastic build and wobbly ergonomics might have you wishing you'd spent those extra coins, and it tries to stand up straight in portrait mode but just can't commit, like a junior dev dodging documentation duty. If you want pure gaming and vibrant color for your code screens, and aren't planning loads of vertical office spreadsheets, this feisty panel will absolutely deliver, but the build and viewing angles put it in the hot seat. 6 out of 10. Samsung Odyssey Neo G8 S32B85. With a screen curve so dramatic it's basically a theme park ride, the Neo G8 makes your code float into 4K clarity at lightning-fast speeds, but watch out for scan lines and flicker hiccups that could get your eyes doing a little debugging of their own. Great color and crispy contrast mean your terminal windows pop, but some pesky visual gremlins and pricing quirks make it harder to justify unless you moonlight as a gamer who loves their blur-free FPS at 240 Hz. If you want premium with a side of occasional weirdness, this is the monitor for adventurous devs. 7 out of 10. ASUS ProArt Display PA27JCV. This monitor is like a Swiss Army knife for code wranglers. Crisp text, top-tier color factory-tuned straight out of the box, and zero-nonsense 27-inch brilliance, all wrapped in a build that feels sturdy enough to withstand a caffeine-fueled bug fix session. Connectivity is a dream. Ergonomic stand makes your desk happier, and every pixel pops. Though at 60 Hz, your scrolling won't exactly break the speed limit, but who needs warp speed for Python anyway? If you like your screens accurate and your colors honest, this ProArt is basically your new best friend. 9 out of 10. Dell U2725K with 120 Hz refresh, color accuracy smoother than your VS Code extensions, and text so sharp it almost whispers answers to Stack Overflow questions. The Dell U2725QE gives programmers a fancy ticket to productivity bliss, though beware a tiny bit of contrast drama and possible coil whine if you're as sensitive as a freshly written bug. The built-in USB hub and KVM are solid for multi-device juggling, but some extras feel as essential as those mysterious sample projects you never open. Ideal for serious coders who want it all, minus the unnecessary fluff. 8 out of 10. Samsung Odyssey Neo G9 G95NC. This monitor is so colossal, it could double as a landing strip for tiny drones, with 57 inches of curved glory and enough pixels to make your spreadsheets look like modern art. It's brighter than your future, packed with mini LED zones and a refresh rate faster than your morning coffee jitters, but you will need a monster graphics card just to fire it up, and blooming may haunt your darkest late-night coding sessions. If you can brave the price and power needs, this titan is pure programming excess. 9 out of 10. Dell S2721QS. The Dell S2721QS sits up straight as a budget king, offering crispy 4380 by 2160 pixels that make code pop. No need to squint for the semicolons. Color is pretty, and performance is smooth, though fast-moving text might blur, and some haggle about the viewing angles aging faster than your favorite IDE. For programmers craving sharpness on a budget, it gets the job done with only minor quibbles. 7 out of 10. MSI Mag 274 UPF. MSI Mag 274 UPF comes out swinging with 4380 by 2160 pixels, and a refresh rate brisk enough for your brain to keep up, plus a KVM switch so you can juggle between machines like a caffeinated octopus. It even charges your laptop while displaying your code, but the chassis feels a bit plasticky and the firmware setup is a software jungle. complete with unexpected antivirus trials. Handy and feature-packed, yes, but missing that wow factor. 7 out of 10. Dell U3250. This monitor is a productivity beast, strutting in with a giant 32-inch screen, loads of ports, and a seriously sharp 4K display that makes code look crisp enough to cut. It's not cheap, but the color coverage and contrast are fantastic. Except for deep blacks, which, let's be honest, end up more gray than glamorous if you're doing late-night debugging. If you want every high-tech feature except perfect darkness, this mammoth Dell delivers most of them in spades. 8 out of 10. LG G8 LG's 27-inch Wizard packs a magical dual-mode switch. Bump up to 4K and 240 Hz for the smooth coding hustle, or go turbo with a 480 Hz refresh at 1080p for those staring contests with your terminal. The color punch and brightness almost make debugging fun, but blacks can sulk like a Monday morning and it's still a step behind OLED, especially if you love silky motion as much as you love bug-free code. All that jazz aside, it's a versatile pick, just not the king of the monitor party. 7 out of 10. Sony INNOCN M9 II. Sony's INNOCN M9 II looks ready for both spreadsheet raids and 12-hour gaming marathons, offering a slick design, dazzling brightness, and a refresh rate that's smoother than a caffeine-fueled dev at 4 in the morning. Sure, it's not OLED, but the colors pop, the blacks get moody, and switching between work and play feels like magic. If you're an all-rounder with a PlayStation, this thing is basically a trophy. The price pinches, but performance more than perks you up after a brutal stand-up. 9 out of 10. Samsung Odyssey OLED G81 SF. The Samsung G81 SF packs a retina-scorching OLED display so vivid your eyes might call in sick, all topped off with anti-glare tech to fight every stray beam of sunlight in your coding cave. Navigating the interface now feels easy. No more bloated TV menus, just crisp text and absurdly fast refresh rates for switching armies of code windows. But let's talk ports. Sadly, this monitor skips the USB-C, so get ready to play cable roulette if your setup is modern. 7 out of 10. BenQ Mobius X321UX. BenQ's X321UX is the productivity beast that wants to charge your laptop, power your peripherals, and light up your workday with a mini LED party, all in 32-inch glory with color accuracy for the picky pixel crowd, multi-window work, low input lag, and an anti-glare matte screen for those sunny window-worshipping coders make it a delight, but finding audio means plugging in those dusty old speakers. No built-in, sorry. Overall, its feature buffet is hard to top, unless you miss a built-in boombox. 9 out of 10. Apple Studio Display. The Studio Display sits on your desk looking like it came straight from a sci-fi boardroom. Stunning 5,000 pixel brightness, crisp text that practically begs you to refactor code, and speakers that thump harder than your deadlines. It's made for Macs. The USB-C and Thunderbolt powers your devices and keeps things streamlined, but outside the Apple ecosystem you'll be cursing the missing adjustments and that glossy glare. Hope you like curtains. The luxury factor is real, but for price and flexibility, it's not for everyone. 6 out of 10. Samsung Smart Monitor M80D S32D M80. This monitor mixes work and play like a barista who pours coffee directly into your spreadsheet. 4,096 pixels blast your eyeballs while binge watching has never been easier. Yes, it's essentially a TV that pretends to work. Bluetooth your keyboard or mouse, fire up Microsoft 365, or just stream your desktop wirelessly. But underneath all those smart features, 60 Hz and basic color accuracy means serious coders might feel like they brought a spoon to a knife fight. I'd say it's perfect for code and chill types, but not for digital ninjas, so it lands a polite 6 out of 10 for programming. 6 out of 10. Samsung Odyssey Neo G7 S32BG75. This thing is more beastly than your morning debugger, with 32 inches of mini LED fun and 165 Hz of pure buttery refresh. The color is dramatic, and HDR is so blinding you might spot bugs you missed last year. It's got an aggressive curve that'll wrap your code around you like a burrito on deadline night, though some quirks like brightness, flicker, and hefty price tag might knock your inner coder off balance. Unless you're programming on Mars, it's kind of overkill. Nevertheless, it's wickedly responsive and truly immersive, so I'm slapping an enthusiastic 8 out of 10 on this space oddity. 8 out of 10. LG 27GR93UB. Say hello to the snappy 4,000 pixel party packed into 27 inches. This LG makes your text crisp, colors pop, and offers a 144 Hz refresh rate, so your scrolling never hiccups, even when you're doom scrolling through Stack Overflow. Out-of-the-box calibration could spark some coder rage, but user tuning and proper sRGB modes will make your syntax look better than your favorite dark theme. HDMI 2.1 is ready for your coding and gaming adventures. The price isn't the lowest, but for coder multitasking and marathon debugging, this Ultra Gear is worth the splurge. So I'll hand it a reliable 8 out of 10 for any serious code slinger. INNOCN. 8 out of 10. Dell S272QC. Dell's S2722QC is the programming monitor that works as hard as you do, with text so crispy at 3840 by 2160 pixels. You might start proofreading code just for fun. The size is perfect for multitasking, letting you stack windows like a hacker who forgot how to close tabs. The one-cable USB-C setup means you finally get to ditch the cable spaghetti behind your desk. It's missing some gaming flair, but for writing code or emails all day, this reliable rectangle absolutely nails the brief, even if the stand is more plastic fantastic than metal majestic. 8 out of 10. Samsung Odyssey G70D S32D70. If you want programming on a monitor that thinks it's an esports champion, the Samsung Odyssey G70D blasts your eyes with 32 inches of 4000 pixel glory, 1 millisecond response, and a refresh rate faster than your last internet outage. It's oversized, it's bombastic, it's begging for Fortnite. Sure, code looks sharp, but IPS bleed and the useless HDR mean your terminal can appear as dramatic as a Marvel trailer, only without the fun explosions. If you want pure programming goodness, rather than a light show, look elsewhere. 6 out of 10. ASUS ROG Swift OLED PG27 UCDM. The ASUS ROG Swift OLED PG27 UCDM is so gorgeously sharp and color-rich it might make you consider switching your career from programmer to full-time font enthusiast. This 27-inch OLED doesn't just display your code, it gives it a dramatic flair worthy of a Hollywood close-up. Blacks are deep enough to hide bugs, the text is clear, and the 240Hz panel means scrolling through error logs will look like an Olympic sport. Yes, it's pricey, so your wallet might require some debugging after purchase, but for avowed monitor nerds who crave perfection, it's the gold standard. 9 out of 10. Gigabyte M32UC. The Gigabyte M32UC serves up a big, curvy 32-inch screen and beefy 4000 pixel resolution. Perfect for coding marathons or pretending you're in a sci-fi movie. The high refresh rate keeps everything slick, but ghosting and occasional backlight bleeding mean your all-night debugging could look a little haunted. With good value, juicy colors, and contrast, but less than perfect out-of-the-box settings, let's call it almost great for programmers with wide desks. 7 out of 10. Gigabyte M27U. The M27U brings crisp 4000 pixel sharpness and fast 160 Hz refresh to the 27-inch mainstream, and it's rocking vibrant colors and a super speedy panel for smooth scrolling up and down your code. Sadly, its contrast fizzles in dark modes, and the HDR is about as impressive as my last Hello World project, but for the price, you're getting great value and snappy response. It's solid for programming, but not a total knockout in the monitor ring. 6 out of 10. LG 32GS95UEB. LG's 32GS95UEB is basically the monitor Tony Stark would build if threatened by slow code compilation. 32 inches of glorious 4000 pixel OLED, colors that pop harder than your logic errors, and a lightning-fast refresh up to 240 Hz, or a ludicrous 480 Hz at 1080p for the indecisive. The pixel response is so quick you'll see bugs before the compiler does, and it handles motion as cleanly as your best refactored code. Pricey, yes, but if you want awe-inspiring clarity while programming, and you have a small trust fund, it's an absolute winner. 10 out of 10. LG 27GR95UMB. This monitor thinks it's a movie theater packed into 27 inches, flexing a gazillion mini LEDs for wild HDR and jaw-dropping brightness. The pixel party is real, but prepare for some scaling drama and, a local dimming algorithm that's weirdly shy when you need it most. For programming, the clarity shines, but you might find yourself wishing for less glare and more refinement. 7 out of 10. Lenovo Legion Y32P30. This screen stretches nearly 32 inches and shows off crispy 4K details, lightning-fast refresh rates, and colors that make every line of code look snazzier than your favorite syntax highlighter. But once the gaming glitter fades, you'll notice HDR is more pretend than real, and the price tag isn't exactly friendly for your work setup. It rocks at productivity, but get ready to question your wallet's life choices. 6 out of 10. Samsung Odyssey. OLED, G80 SD. Samsung slaps down a beastly QD OLED panel. 32 inches of vibrant color, perfect blacks, and motion smoothness so buttery it could melt through your hardest project deadline. Text is razor sharp for coding marathons. But beware, its brightness could use some spinach, and the OLED burn-in worries never really clock out. Still, all things considered, this monitor makes all your tabs look legendary. 9 out of 10. Gigabyte M32U. This 32-inch powerhouse tries its best to impress with a 4K resolution so sharp, you'll spot typos from Mars, and the generous screen space will make your code feel like it finally made it to the big leagues. Its refresh rate is a zippy 120 Hz, so even your frantic alt-tabbing looks smoother than your last merge request. But the default color calibration might make your apps look as if they're coding from the Matrix. and the HDR is more hype than helpful. Still, thanks to USB-C and KVM switch extras, this monitor has enough versatility for juggling projects and coffee breaks, but prepare to wrestle with some inconsistent backlight bleed and wish for better text clarity compared to the best in class. 7 out of 10.